Welcome to this year's Emerging Translators Showcase, celebrating the great work of our 2024 mentors and mentees and giving you, our digital audience, a glimpse of who our emerging translators are and what they've been working on since October 2023. My name is Annie Rutherford and I'm the ETM Programme Manager at the National Centre for Writing. Established in 2010 by Daniel Hahn, the ETM programme is now in its 14th year. Its aim is to develop successive new cohorts of literary translators into English, particularly for languages whose literature is currently underrepresented in English translation. The scheme matches up experienced translators with emerging literary translators for a 6-month period, during which they work together on practical translation projects, developing their craft through working on a chosen text or texts. Mentees receive a bursary, and the mentorship includes 2 industry weekends specially tailored to the needs of emerging translators, as well as a trip to London Book Fair and a day trip to NCW's headquarters at the medieval Dragon Hall in Norwich, where we are today. Since its inception, the programme has supported 131 mentees working in 36 languages, from the very first mentees, Anna Holmwood and Vineet Lal, to current mentors Claire Richards and Jamie Lee Searle. Huge thanks to Vicky Maitland, whose enthusiasm and ninja-like organisational skills keep the programme going, and to Rebecca DeValde, the mentorship's usual programme manager, who's currently on maternity leave and whose passion and dedication really shine through the project. The mentorship also would not exist without the commitment of our mentors and the support from our partners. We are immensely grateful to the myriad of funders who've made the programme possible over the last decade and more. We would like to thank our mentors and funders this year. Thanks to Arts Council England, to Kairani Baraka for mentoring Alex Meffem, to Sawad Hussain for mentoring Victoria Issa Yaqub with support from the Sheikh Zayed Book Award. Thanks to Elena Pala for mentoring Sha McDona with support from the Italian Cultural Institute, to Polly Barton for mentoring Charlotte Goff with support from the E&I Initiative. Thanks to Claire Richards for mentoring Johan Lee with support from LTI Korea, to Sean Gasper Bai for mentoring Nasim Wukchai with support from the Polish Cultural Institute. Thanks to Sarah Adizoni for mentoring Khadija Aidu with support from the Quebec Government Office. To Jeremy Tian for mentoring Rela Malati Bari with support from the National Arts Council Singapore. To Jamie Lee Searle for mentoring Taiba Suleiman with support from Pro Helvetia. We're filming this showcase in advance, but if you're joining us live for the premiere, you can participate in the live chat on the right side of this page. Our emerging translators will be watching and maybe also responding, so do show them some love. The translators will be reading short extracts from their mentorship projects. Foreign rights to the translations are all still available. If you would like to read a longer extract, we will be including a link to the ebook of this year's anthology at the end of the video and in the show notes. If you are interested in contacting the translators directly, you will find their contact details in the anthology itself. Alternatively, feel free to get in touch with us at NCW via info@nationalcentreforwriting.org.uk. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy the following showcase presenting you the finest work by new literary translation talents working today.
Hello, my name is Victoria Issa Yaqub, and I'm a translator and writer based in Jordan, working between Arabic and English. I have a deep passion for children's literature, poetry, and narratives on migration and women from the Middle East. I'm particularly drawn to speculative fiction and narratives that push the boundaries of genres and bend the rules of language. The following sample is a short story titled They Were All My Father by Palestinian writer Ziad Haddash from his short story collection Drowned in Laughter, published in 2019. The story is set against the backdrop of the Israeli occupation in Palestine. Ziad Haddash brings forth a poignant narrative that explores the intricacies of life as a refugee within one's own country. In this evocative story, Haddash delves into his personal experiences, navigating the challenges imposed by conflict and displacement. One winter, a blackout and thousands of soldiers descended upon the refugee camp. A second after the clock struck midnight, I saw you watching me shivering on the rooftop overlooking the square. The loudspeakers spat out a voice with a deformed accent, announcing the implementation of a law that summoned men over the age of 16. Rows of human silhouettes, silently amassed. The headlights of military vehicles drenched the lumps, scorching them with their brightness. Among these colossal forms were names etched in the shadows. My father, your father, my uncle, your uncle, my neighbor, your neighbor, my granddad, your granddad. Where is my dad? Where is he? I can't see him, uttered the darkened rooftop on behalf of my frozen mouth. There, he is 20 soldiers away, your darkness replied. But I remained unconvinced. No, no, this is not my father. This is your granddad, I countered, skepticism lingering in my tone. The lumps of humanity inched closer amidst the clamor of lights and soldiers. A question descended suddenly from the rooftop. Where is my father? A soothing sentence, akin to a comfortable slumber, rose up between us. Our dual realms of darkness played with it, tossing it from roof to roof like a ball made of socks. This human mass is my father.
Hi, my name is Sha McDona, and I'm a translator from Birmingham, based in Milan, working from Italian into English and working towards translating from Irish. I'm interested in literary fiction, poetry and graphic novels, and especially writing that is atmospheric or linguistically playful and connects the reader with characters and inherent social issues. The following sample is taken from A Very Cold Winter by Fausto Celente, set in post-war Milan, where a large family finds a home in a cramped loft, and Camilla, abandoned by her husband, takes responsibility as they endure an incredibly severe winter. In the extract, two characters taken into the family suddenly find themselves in an intimate situation. Both have experienced tragedy and rejection from society, especially Regina, Camilla's daughter-in-law, who survives her husband, a partisan, and was cruelly rejected by her own family as a single mother. Listen, let's go to bed, he whispered, aroused, detaching his lips from hers. Otherwise we'll really catch a cold. Inside the room, with an almost marital appearance, he was calmly exercising a marital rite that fate seemed to have decided upon, almost without consulting them. But were they the only man and woman in the whole universe to lie in the same bed, holding each other with endearing tenderness? Were they not instead part of an immense concert? Darkness had fallen, and since the shutters weren't closed, the white of the snow undulating outside the windows festively accompanied the hesitant inception of their caresses, inviting them to proceed and to tune their instruments. The little girl in the soft crib continued to sleep. Perhaps the paternal image was already etched onto her features, but that would not be seen until later. She didn't know about the two of them, and even in the act of forgetting the sweet maternal bosom, she would acquire her first tenuous independence. While those two, despite the bitter experiences of which they were woven, the wounds barely scarred over, the reciprocal compassion, they were now annihilating the past, since life is far more cunning than death. Blood ran quicker in their veins. The laboured breathing of love truly warmed the room. Then they rested, side by side, holding each other by the hand, and before they were able to sleep, they listened in silence to the coursing of the hushed winter night.
Hi, I'm Charlotte. I'm translating Japanese to English. I'm about to read you an extract from Naoko Yamazaki's Utsukushi Kyori, or Beautiful Distance, which is about a man visiting his wife in hospital. I take some nail clippers and plastic tape from my briefcase and stick a little tape to each side of the clippers to stop the cut nails flying everywhere. Taking her slim right hand in mine, I trim the ends of her nails. The little white crescents stick to the tape. I become absorbed in the sound. Snip, snip, snip. It feels surprisingly satisfying. Why does this feel so good? How have I never realized how good it could feel just to cut the nails of the person you love? I bought some wood at the DIY store the other day. I try speaking in time with the snipping. Some wood? What for? She looks skeptical. I thought it might be hard to walk when you come home, so it could help if you had a railing to hold on to. I got a saw and an electric screwdriver too. Didn't have you down as a carpenter? She's smiling now. I can do DIY. I give a wry smile. Home, huh? She stares up at the ceiling, her hand still clasped in mine. Do you want to come home? Yeah, she nods, but her face says she doesn't. Right, I think. So thinking about the future isn't going to cheer her up, nor will talk of coming home. I wonder what kind of thing could.
My name is Johan Lee, and I'm a Korean to English literary translator. I'm mainly interested in translating contemporary works by women and queer writers, especially in the speculative genre. The sample I'll be presenting today is an excerpt from the novel The Forest Called You by Emile. Set in 23rd century Seoul suffering from perpetual dust clouds and disease, the book is a heart-throbbing, coming-of-age queer love story between an idol who is active in virtual reality and her fan in search of a genuine relationship. Emile, an award-winning SF author and an avid K-pop fan herself, skillfully reveals in the following sample the irony of living in the virtual world and the dysfunctional aspects of the entertainment industry. In the virtual world, ordinary people spruce themselves up. Chubby people transformed themselves into slimmer bodies, and ugly faces became beautiful. Short people became taller, a missing leg would be replaced with a virtual one, and those who were socially awkward morphed into eloquent speakers. In virtual reality, anyone could hold daily fashion shows when only ragged pajamas fill their wardrobes, could go on a world tour for several months without so much as stepping outside their homes, and hook up with nice-looking dates when they were alone in real life. Even when the dust storms and contagious diseases made it almost impossible to meet up face-to-face, in virtual reality, you could find, chat with, and hug whoever you liked. If meal substitutes saved humanity from starvation by providing food to eat, virtual reality cured people of their misery with all the possibilities it offered. In virtual reality, anyone could do anything. Not that it could cure the widespread ennui they felt. Fake food, fake beauty, fake exchanges, fake senses. People were sick of their lives chock full of lies and instead obsessed over the real. They wanted real food made of real vegetables, real meat, real fruits, and real spices. Wanted to see real flowers on a real meadow by a real lake while breathing in real air, and wanted to meet a real person and feel real warmth and real love. But those real things were too expensive, dangerous, cumbersome, filthy, or otherwise non-existent. Hence the emergence of entertainment, allowing them to watch at a safe distance instead. Idols were one part of this entertainment.
My name is Rela Malati, and I'm a children's picture book author based in Singapore. I am building a translation portfolio focusing on underrepresented young adult fiction in Malay, and I translate from Malay and Bahasa Indonesia. In the last few years, I have organized national translation competitions for lower secondary students in Singapore, as well as translation workshops to encourage bilingual students to become budding translators. The following sample is taken from Arca di Museum, translated as The Mystery at the Museum, written by Farihan Bahrun. Farihan is an author-publisher who has been instrumental in reviving an interest in Malay fiction in Singapore for young people in the last few years. This story is set in Singapore in the year 2043, when Singapore no longer has any prison, and the only prison on the island, Changi Prison, has been converted into a museum. The extract that I will be reading is from Chapter 2 of the book. A red light on Adam's tablet begins to blink. Adam is confused. The tracking device shows that Bantam is still in the same area, the pre-millennial era crime gallery. However, according to the digital map shown, Bantam is already way ahead. In fact, Bantam is now at the 4th exhibit. Adam bites his lips. The day's itinerary must be reworked again. For now, Adam asks his group to follow him quickly to the fourth exhibit. The fourth exhibition is set in a small room that displays a replica of a crime scene that had occurred in 1975. This replica is constructed in a glass box and placed in the middle of the room. Adam has memorized the room's layout very well because the exhibits are displayed as dioramas. Quite unique. There are a few figures that are arranged and painted to look like a group of robbers, known as the Swimming Trunks Gang by the media. But even now, when they are already at the fourth exhibit, Bantam is nowhere to be seen. The blinking red light on Adam's tablet begins to flash intermittently, indicating that the tracking device is stubbornly telling them that Bantam is there. Beep, beep, beep. Where is Bantam? Oh, where is this old man? Obviously, he didn't hear the bell. Yalla, he's still not here. Eee! Julia screamed. Bantam! Where? There! Julia points at the diorama in the middle of the room. There! Inside the glass box!
Hello, I am Alex Mepham, and I am a writer and translator based in York. In 2023, I was awarded the Northern Debut Award for Poetry by New Writing North, and I have had various work published in print and online journals, including Magma, The Stinging Fly, and Under the Radar, among others. I also translate poetry from Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish into English, and I have had poems from the Norwegian mid-century modernist poet Gunvor Hofmo published in Modern Poetry and Translation. I am particularly interested in contemporary poetry, especially with experimental and prose elements, as well as creative work that combines various forms. I am also very interested in creative work from historically marginalized groups who are able to critique accepted norms of dominant cultures and structures. This extract is from The Uncles, the third sequence from Priya Bain's debut collection, With the Rest of My Hands. The family is full of people who don't bother anymore, aunties who refuse to get up, and uncles who stopped drinking a frosty evening in December to stay home and write on scraps of paper, milk, bread, mint, yogurt, or, hello daughter, may your day be a fanfare, or, my tongue is a dried apricot, or, some days I just don't know what to say, or, where did you go all these days, all my hair, or, I curse you, God, you almighty, you holy king. Or, once my mother said that she wished I never came home again. Or, I never really looked into my father's eyes. Or, I'm coming home late. Don't wait for me.
Hello, my name is Nasim. I'm a poet and translator between Polish and English, and I'm based in London. I'm particularly drawn to suspenseful and subversive literary fiction that doesn't shy away from the dark side of human nature. I also love poetry and non-fiction that shifts preconceptions about the past and the natural world, and I have experience translating popular science. The following sample comes from Małgorzata Żarów's debut novel, entitled Zaklinanie węży w gorące wieczory, which translates to Snake Charming on Hot Evenings. The novel is a tragicomical exploration of online sex work, the male gaze, and catastrophic thinking prevalent in our society. It's narrated by a camgirl as she flees a mysterious disaster and makes her way from the outskirts of Warsaw back to the city centre in a dirty wedding dress. The book is so playful with release of information, so sultry, sassy, and casually poetic that I read it in one sitting. I will now read from one of its most enigmatic scenes. It's early in the morning, and Violet encounters a phantom standing at a bus stop. The phantom's holding something under his coat, and whenever he presses, the voice comes back. It's Friday, the 17th of July, the time, and again, and again. He lets the whole thing run all the way up to the clink, or he stops it halfway and presses and plays it again. It's Friday, the 17th of July. The time is 6:34. It's good to know these things. He shakes his head, dissatisfied. Nonsense, he mutters. All nonsense. He listens to the announcement again, then turns to me and says, "That's how they cover up all the traces." I think there's a stone in my shoe, though I don't know how that's possible, seeing as I'm basically on stilts, high above the ground. I give my leg a shake. Maybe it'll fall out by itself. The phantom clears his throat, loudly, forcefully, and it sounds like something poisonous, like mercury in the throat. "They have it all planned. That's how they cover it up," he repeats. And now I know I'm stuck. He won't leave me alone. "Cover what up?" I ask. Suddenly he's sitting a good half-meter closer, hunched, rapidly breathing onto me. The crime. Thank you.
Sarah's Dowry by Marie-Céline Gagnon follows the narrator, Mariana, on her transformative journey from Haiti to Montreal. As her daughter, Giselle, prepares for childbirth, Mariana decides to settle in Quebec, becoming an integral part of her granddaughter, Sarah's upbringing. In this excerpt, Mariana is flying back to Haiti for the first time since Sarah's birth, who is now 20. My translation delves into Agnon's poetic landscape, examining identity, memory, and the profound effects of leaving one's roots behind. I'm not feeling myself, as if I've been mummified, wrapped up, protected against a storm for 20 years, the survivor of some strange journey. I dread the bad memories I'll be assailed by as soon as I set foot in the country. Memories I can't control, pulling faces at me and interfering with my overwhelming need for Sarah and Giselle. The dull thud on the tarmac startles me. The wheels grate. A little girl claps. Two people in front of me burst into tears. Long and harrowing sobs like a siren. A strange procession forms from one end of the plane to the other. I join it mechanically and walk towards the stairs. There's a rush of heat from the tarmac coming in through the open door of the plane and filling the cabin. The sun welcomes us with open arms. Palm trees sway as if they were weary but forced to stand under the sun. I suddenly feel as if I'm acting in a film on location somewhere I've never seen before in my life. I also have this odd sensation of becoming a little girl. For the first time in my life, I'm thinking, who am I now? Deep down, an ironic voice answers, I don't know, not anymore. As my fear melts, I realize I'm a stranger to myself. Maybe I'm an adventurer who's washed up here nobody knows how. Another, harsher voice jolts me out of my spiraling panic. Over here, old lady.
Hi, my name's Taba Solan, and I'm a translator from Manchester. I translate between German and English. I love working on anything beautifully crafted, humorous, or playful. As well as prose, I translate poetry. I enjoy the challenge of translating rhyme and set poetic forms. During my mentorship with Jamie Lee Sill, I've been working on a Berlin travel diary written by the 12-year-old Hans-Josef Orteil in 1964, and the work of contemporary Swiss-Croatian poet Dragica Rajic-Holzner. Her award-winning writing plays with the voices of immigrant women, complacent patriots, and entrepreneurs who can't quite get their foreign language sales pitches right. In her poems, everyday mistakes crackle with potential. She stretches the German language beyond the bounds of standard usage. Almost inaudible slips of the tongue make the original poem sound slightly off-kilter, and my translations aim to recreate that feeling. This poem is taken from Halbgedichte einer Gastfrau, 1986. Honest, only the others are a little fascist, and our concern is keeping things in their rightful place. No, we don't care about strangers' affairs. And why should we? Roofs of our own heads more important. What? That's not even true. We never act like we're gods. We've got enough to eat, of course. But please just stop talking about hunger. It's ruining our appetite. And the second poem comes from Buch von Glück, 2004. Dubrovnik. Walls reinforced, preferring foreign women, the boatmen advertise, a journey, pretty please, to spend a day outside of, speak German, miss? Come with me, miss. Beautiful and cheap, fully crated. Pine forest fires put out yesterday. You're in your best years, miss, said the boatman. Your accent betrays you, a French woman. You won't be disappointed, miss. In Croatian, I said, do vidanja, and ran away like an Englishwoman.
I hope you enjoyed our showcase and that the short extracts our wonderful translators read have whetted your appetite. If so, you're in luck. You can read longer versions in this year's anthology at the link in the following slide. If you'd prefer a physical copy of the anthology, you can also register to have it posted to you via our website. If you're interested in any or all of our translation programs or activities at NCW, please go to our website at www.nationalcentreforwriting.org.uk/translation. Applications for the 2024-25 programme will open in July 24. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.